my name is Katie and welcome to my YouTube channel, Duckpotatoe's World. You have stumbled upon, or maybe found on purpose, episode 39, my August 2025 episode of my monthly video vlog, Created to Create. So welcome all of you new viewers and welcome back all of you returning viewers. I am so grateful to have all of you here to hang out with me and explore what I've been creating over the past month. Let's see, so we're gonna kick right into it with what I have, what I'm wearing, which is nothing knit because it has been over 100 for the last couple of days. So kind of been slim on the knits lately because it's just been too hot. But I do have a few finished objects, 3 in fact, 2 of which I do not have here to show you. So last month I was wearing a little cream colored bucket hat that I had made as like a practice hat because my sister had asked for a blue one. Well, I made the blue one and have since sent it off to her. So I'll pop in a picture of me modeling it for you just so you can see what it looked like. But it's the exact same hat in the exact same yarn, just a different colorway. And then that was, let's see, I'll tell you what it was. In fact, it was the Crochet Happy Days bucket hat and it came on the Karen Layer Cupcakes Yarns label, which is the yarn that I used. So it didn't actually say who the designer was. So I don't know. But yeah, so that one, I made that one for my sister and I sent it off. And then I also made what was called the Big Brown Bucket Hat by Selena Baca, only I made it in blue for my sister. And so that too has been made and sent to my sister in San Antonio. So I'll have to put a picture of that one in as well. That one was actually a test crochet. I think she was updating the pattern because it was definitely not a new pattern. And I crocheted the smallest size because I have a small head and I figured my sister probably has a small head since I do. But I definitely should have crocheted a larger size. This one was a little bit small. It fit my head, but it just looks small on my head. And when I sent it to my sister, she said it was a little small for her too. So if I have time later, I might make her a larger one. I don't know when I would get to it, so I didn't promise that, but it's a possibility, I suppose. I told her she was welcome to gift it to a kid if she knows someone with a child with a small head, and she was like, oh, no, I still want to keep it. So I guess it's not so small she won't wear it, but it is on the small side. I kind of had trouble with that. I had trouble getting the crochet gauge. I did not use the called for yarn, but I used what, according to yarnsubstitutions.com, was a reasonable equivalent, but it did not, it just didn't work. I even went up a hook size trying to kind of, because it's my hat's small because it's a size small, but it's also small because my gauge was not perfect and it is smaller than it should have been. So anyway, I'm never good at getting gauge on anything when I knit, so why should that be any different when I crochet? Of course. So yeah, didn't make gauge even though I tried, just made the hat the way that it was written out in the pattern because it was a test and sent it off to my sister. All kinds of devil may care. And then the other thing that I did finish, I do have to show you, and that is my scarf of knowledge. I decided I was done with this particular scarf because it's gotten so long that it's getting awkward to film the tutorial videos with it. So this is a 12-month size scarf. So it has 12 patterns in it, beginning with last August, so August of 2024, and that would be August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, and July. So this scarf of knowledge it has been washed and blocked and labeled with the month of the pattern as well as the yarn that was used, because the yarn, I think this month was the only month maybe where the yarn and the pattern were the correct month. This is the April month and the April yarn and the April pattern. Most other ones, the yarn was some other month or some other, and it's multiple colorways. I think I definitely have Cabin in the Woods. I definitely have Fall Fun. I think some Campfire too. So I've got 3 different color stories all mixed into this scarf. Anyways, but I have washed it, blocked it, labeled it. The only thing I did not do You can guess what I did not do, right? Well, I wove in some of the ends, but not the more recent ends. So I had some of these ends I had already just woven in, but the last, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months or so I haven't woven the ends. So I am going to send this off to Hot Springs Fiber Company to be a shop sample, and they can weave in the ends because I don't like to. But it turned out really nice. It was really pretty. There were lots of fun suggestions about what I could do with this strip. But really, in the end, I just decided it needs to be a shop sample. It has a good smattering of different kinds of patterns and different yarns and different colorways. So rather than try to turn it into something else after the fact, it was always intended to be a scarf. I've just left it as a scarf, and I'm going to send it, like I said, to the shop. So I will get that in the mail tomorrow since it's now been shown. I've been waiting to show you guys my finished scarf. And I think I'm just going to start a new scarf with the August pattern. So that was an effective way for me to demo the stitch patterns for the videos that go into the knit blanket of knowledge boxes. And so yeah, I'll probably keep up with that. That was good. That brings me to my unfinished objects, and I have more of those going on right now. So I haven't showed this to you in a very long time, but I did finally get started on the wedding veil because my sister got engaged, and I'll put a picture of her ring in here for you guys to see. But since she is engaged, I decided maybe I should pay some attention to that project. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but I did do 4 whole rows on this project. It is just a slow going project. It's in this cute little Champs purse that I found at a resale shop. I like this purse. It's a good project bag. It may be a good purse. I don't know. I've never used it as one. But I am very careful with this because this is cobweb weight yarn from Color Mart. And it is quite the thing to be doing. So I know that this looks like nothing at all to you guys. This is another reason I haven't shown it. I need it to get a little bit bigger before I can put it on some bigger cord, bigger needle. But I did in fact do 4 rows of this. And I also did something, and that was I switched out all of the stitch markers that were on this for different ones. And the reason was because I'm hoping this washes out. But I have metal stitch markers in here, and even though they should have been stainless steel, one of them rusted, which I guess because it's humid here, I don't know where the water came from, and it turned just discolored, just a little spot on the wedding veil. So I'm hoping that will wash out, but I went through and swapped out all the metal markers for plastic ones, and in so many as I had. I didn't actually have that many, and then I used these coated ones, these light bulb ones with a coating on it. So hopefully that will not be an issue again. My sister has dark hair, so hopefully, and it's gonna be a big shawl, and that's just one tiny spot. So hopefully it'll wash out or it won't be noticeable. But I do have that kind of out of hibernation, so to speak, and I have been working on that. It is just always a challenge because I can't see it very well. It's just hard for me to see. And so I have to find like a golden time where I can work on it, where my eyes aren't too tired and I can see and I have good lighting. And it's also that fine yarn, so I need to be able to focus and not get interrupted a lot, because otherwise I drop stitches, and picking up stitches when you drop it from there is no fun. I usually drop stitches don't stress me out that much, but this project, a drop stitch, is a cause for tears. So, but I did get some work on it. I'm hoping to get more work on it in the future. Let's see, what did I say did I tell you all the yarn? That is the Wedding Peacock is the pattern by M. Mario. It's in Color Mart. I don't know how you read this. 2/52 NM cobweb weight cashmere silk and merino diamante yarn. If I'm not pronouncing some of that correctly, then that's no surprise because I'm just reading it and guessing how it sounds. But if you need the information on that, that's what we've got going on there. I have also done quite a bit of work lately on my biased opinion wrap because this is kind of my easiest project right now. I can just throw it in the bag, cart it around anywhere. It's not super big, and I don't have to read the pattern. It's just knitting and purling back and forth. So it's gotten quite a bit of attention since you saw it last. Of course, I don't have the row finished, so it's a little bit of a challenge to show you, but I will try. I have finished, since you saw it last, let's see here. What would be the easiest way to do this? There we go. Since you saw it last, I have completed the third narrow strip. That's this one right here. And I'm about halfway through the third large strip. And then I still have a final narrow strip. I was hoping to be able to do another thick strip and narrow strip, but I don't think I'm gonna have quite enough. I'm using just a tad more than 20 grams for each narrow strip, and I only had 100 grams. So I'm afraid if I tried to do the extra narrow strip, I would run out just right at the end. So currently, my plan is just to do the pattern as written, which will be finish this wide strip and do a final narrow strip and be done. I'll weigh my yarn. Last time I weighed it, I had 38 grams left, and that was after this one. So again, I would really need 40 grams to do the final strip. Plus there's a cast off that's going to take up some extra, so I don't think I'll have enough. But that's okay. I am loving it. It's very pretty. I get lots of compliments on the yarn. So it's the Biased Opinion wrap by Tracie Anderson. That's the pattern. And the yarn is Kindred Spirits by the Alpaca Yarn Company. And it's a combo pack of 2 different bases of their yarns. So one is the Marguerite base, which is 50% baby alpaca and 50% tencel. And then the second yarn is this mohair type yarn. It's Surrey alpaca and nylon. So I use that, and then just this kind of grayish white color is just Cascade Yarns Heritage in Limestone, and I just added that in there because I didn't have enough of the tencel to do the tencel and mohair here. I would have run out too soon, so I just needed something to stretch out my tencel just a little bit. Yeah, so there's that. Coming right along. I'm hoping, not promising, hoping it will be done when I film September, but we shall see. My friend Antonia is working on hers, and I'm a little ahead of her right now. I don't think she is started on her third large strip yet, but I'm not too far ahead of her, so we shall see. So there's that. Woo! Y'all, I'm sorry, I told you it's been 100 degrees, and even though I'm indoors and it is actually at night while I am filming this, it is still really hot in here. So if I'm a little glistening, if I have a little glow, it's because I'm sweaty. I'm one of those women that sweat. What can you do about it? Another work in progress is I am still making I-cord yarn out of bulky weight yarn. So I finished one whole ball of this, and I've started on the second ball. So that's what it looks like. And I'm using my fun I-cordy tool to do it. And this is the original, yarn. It's Karen Macchiato Cakes. And I don't remember what the colorway was. And it had a name too. There it is, Boundless. In Boundless. And I've already done one whole cake, and I'm probably halfway through this second cake, and I have a third cake, but I don't think I'm actually going to need the third cake for the weaving project, so I may not I-cord up the third cake. But I would have liked to have been all the way done with this, but I am not. I did work on it during the 4th of July picnic. It's another good thing to bring if I'm going to be somewhere where we're going to be chatting, because I don't have to have a pattern, I don't have to count anything. I just sit there and rhythmically knit on the I-cordy. So it's good social knitting, but it's also very boring. So after a little while, I get kind of bored with that. So it's kind of slow going, but I am going to finish it. So I am working on that, and I am going to be using it to weave my rug. So I showed you the rug I finished, I think last month. And I'm making a second one on my loom. I'm just creating the yarn for that. And I have started that rug because I told you I finished the first cake and finished caking it into I-cord. So it is currently on my loom on Beatrix, and I can put a picture of the project up here for you so you can see what it is looking like on the loom. So here is what the yarn is looking like woven on my loom after I have made it into I-cord. So my left edges are kind of bulky, The right-sided edges are doing pretty good. They look a little better. And so far I've done a little more than half a skein's worth. So the original skeins were 226 grams, and I have divided them into 2 hanks of 113 grams because that's all my shuttle can hold. See my very full shuttle right there. But this is 7 inches was about one of the 113 gram hanks. So I just started the second hank, and I didn't bring a good setup to record, so I apologize for the bouncing around. I'm trying to hold it and weave at the same time, but I'll see if I can. It's pretty fat at first, so it doesn't like to shoot through super easy, but it'll go. Here in a minute, when I get some of this yarn off that shuttle, it will shoot through a lot easier. But there's a shot, and then I just gently tug on this. I use a triangle kind of shape. Then I go ahead and switch my feet, and then I beat. And you can see if I look at my edge every single shot. And if I don't like it, I just unshoot. I don't know if that's a term, frog, I don't know what you say, and weave it again. So now it's ready to go again. So I go ahead and just unwind a little off my shuttle there. Yeah, see, it's too full of yarn to shoot smoothly, but I just kind of baby it along down there until it pops out. Sorry again I should have brought a better method for filming. And I just kind of gently tug it. This big, huge, weft-faced rug, I fuss with the edges a lot more than I normally would. Beat. Normally I don't touch the edges at all, but I find with this, if I don't, they tug really bad. So I think I read in my Weft magazine that you shouldn't fiddle with your edges. So I'm probably doing it wrong, but we'll do one more shot. I might go through a little smoother. Well, a little bit further. I have to be careful going this direction because my loop of yarn here will catch on this break edge down here if I'm not careful. So there's that. Whoop. I have a habit of setting my stuff up there. I don't know if that's a good, bad, or indifferent. You can see here I've got way too much of a loop, so I'm gonna tug on this end gently, and I'm gonna pay attention to that and make sure it doesn't look good. Then I'm gonna do my feet. I always move my feet and then beat. That's just the rhythm I have developed. That edge looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. But yeah, so I am hoping to get, let's flip this around so you guys can see me. Hold on. Hey, hi. So I am hoping to get about 24 inches in 2 hanks, which would put this rug about the size of my test rug. And then when I get that far, I'll decide at that point if I want to I-cord up the 3rd hank of yarn into 2 hanks of I-cord or not. So I've only finished one ball of yarn into the I-cord. So I still have 2 balls of yarn, but I wanted to go ahead and get started weaving with it because I was excited. But yeah, Beatrix one more time. Beatrix Loom, and she is wonderful and fun, and I hope you enjoyed this short minute. Here's my tape measure down here. So I set it to the length of my original sample rug. You can see here I've knit or woven almost 10 inches. So when I get to the end of that tape, I will know that was the size of my original rug, and I can decide at that point if I want to make this one a little bigger. I probably will, but I haven't decided for sure. Anyway, so that's the process, and I will be back to show you the finished rug once it's done. So I finished weaving my first 2 hanks of I-cord, which was 1 ball of bought yarn. I got, like I thought I would, about 14 inches, and I am where I can see the end of my warp. So I'll probably only be able to do another 14 inches or so of my rug. And so I'll probably only I-cord up the 2nd ball. I probably won't I-cord out the 3rd ball of yarn because I don't think I'll need it. But you can see from here to here is about 24 inches. So the rest of that warp will probably have to be waste down there. So that's probably what we're looking at. So we'll see how long it takes me to I-cord up the rest of that yarn. But yeah, we're off to a good start. But I think like I said, I think I have enough warp to make maybe one more cake of yarn worth of rug. And then I think I'll be out of warp. So no reason to I-cord up that third cake if I don't have enough warp to use it. And then I squirreled, as I am known to do, and I started something new. So my mother and I have gone to DFW Fiber Festival every year since we heard about it, which I think was like 2017, 2018, for a while. And I don't know if they always have like a knit along, make along, crochet along project every single year, and I just haven't heard about it every single year. But I know back in 2020 for the quinceanera, they had a make along, and it was to do this centrifugal shawl by Carissa Browning. And I actually heard about it in time, and I did it. But of course, that was the Fiber Festival that was canceled due to COVID. So I made the shawl, but we never got to wear it. Well, I mean, I guess I could have worn it to a Fiber Festival since then, although I don't think I did. But we didn't get to wear it to the 2020 Fiber Festival. So I thought I would show you that one. But I did that one, and then I'm assuming they had ones in addition to that. But I apparently didn't do one in 2021, 2022, or 2023. Now, my mom and I will often buy a project at DFW that we will make together and wear, like our Bright Axis tees, for example. We bought the yarn for those from a DFW Fiber Festival and then wore it the next year. But I don't think those were like official make-alongs for the festival. But I did apparently hear about and do the official make-along last year in 2024. Although, if any of you were watching back then, you will know I did not finish this before DFW Fiber Festival. I was finishing it at the festival. But this is the This Away shawl by Carissa Browning. And this was a fun one. But yeah, I did this one last year. And it is in Lang Yarns, Ayumi. And I forgot to mention this shawl is in No Ordinary Yarns, which, oh, she went out of business and I miss her so much because I love these. The colorways were Boots and Spurs, Boots and Jeans, that's this one. And then Lola Lou, which I think was the name of her dog. And then the blue is called Grandpa's Overalls. Isn't that cute? But that was the yarn for this one. And then Lang Yarns Ayumi, which is a discontinued yarn, is the yarn that I used for this one. Anyway, so that was last year's. And so then it occurred to me, my mom was here visiting, and I was like, oh, we should look and see about getting bingo tickets, because that sold out last year, which we were able to go last year, but we definitely wanted to go again. So I got our bingo tickets, and I looked and saw what make-alongs they were doing. So they had two patterns, and I cannot for the life of me remember the name of the knit pattern that is the knit along for DFW Fiber Festival this year, but I will put it on the screen so you will know, because my mom is going to knit that one, and she ordered the assigned pooling yarn from the designer, so she has the exact stuff to do it with, and it's going to be really pretty. And I decided I was going to be brave, and I'm going to do the crochet version of the make along this year, which is what all that introduction was for, to tell you that I have decided to crochet the Brown Wind Shawl by Toni Lipsey. And that is a newly started project for me. So it's a whip. And I will show it to you. Set it down here. So this is how far I have gotten. I am not really sure what side of this is the official right side. I think this is, because this is the first side. But the pattern, as far as I could see, didn't actually assign a right side and a wrong side. Although both sides look pretty good, but I think that's the right side. I think this is the right side. Gosh, y'all, picking a yarn for this is a story, because I'm really trying not to buy a whole lot of yarn right now. I mean, we all know I have a lot of yarn. It's not like I'm hurting for yarn. And I really thought, surely I had something in my stash that I could make this project out of and I wouldn't need to buy yarn. Well, the original pattern was done in a worsted weight yarn. And then the second version that she worked up was done in a sport weight yarn. And y'all, I know I have made this mistake before, but apparently I don't learn from my mistakes always. But in my head, I thought, well, I'll do it in a DK weight yarn. And that should be more than enough yarn because the original was in a worsted weight and a DK weight has more yardage. Well, that would have made sense, except that I wasn't looking at the yardage. So yes, the original one was in a worsted weight yarn, but it used 325 yards of one color, 325 yards of another, and then 650 of a third. When she did it in sport, she kept the yardage the same. So it was 325, 325, and 650. For some reason in my brain, I was looking at the sport pattern and it was saying 1 ball, 2 balls. So I went and pulled out all my DK yarn and thought I just need 1 ball of one color, 1 ball of another, and 2 of another. Totally not paying attention to the yardage because DK weight yarn has more yards than worsted, but it has less yards per ball than sport, and the pattern was based on sport. So hopefully that made sense. So what wound up happening was I dug out all my DK weight yarn, sat with my mom, figured out what I wanted to do, and decided I could get by with mostly stuff from Stash and I would just need to order 1 ball of yarn. So I ordered 1 more ball of Plymouth yarn, and then literally right after I ordered it, I realized the DK weight yarn is not enough because I need 325 yards and DK weight yarn was coming in like 250 yards per ball. So, maths, y'all. Pay your maths budget so you don't make my mistakes, okay? Anyway, so back to the drawing board. I did not have enough yarn of what I had picked out to make the shawl. Well, then I dug all my DK weight yarn out again, dug all my sport weight, all my fingering weight yarn. Here's the problem. I have a ton of yarn. Ton of yarn. Problem is, most things, unless they have a sweater quantity of the same color, I only have 1 ball of each color. So I was not ever having enough of the third color to crochet the shawl. So then I found these 2 colors, and I actually have quite a bit. I had 3 balls of the white and 6 of the gray. And so I thought, well, I can just order 3 more balls of the same yarn in a different color and it'll work, which was true. So that's what I did. I'm not going to use all this gray because, of course, even though I had the most balls of gray, I wanted the white color to be the one I used as my double amount color. So I had to order the additional color and then 1 more ball of the white because I only had 3. But anyway, I was crazy. It took me forever, you would think, and all the yarn, up to my ears in yarn around here, and I still can't find what I need sometimes. But yeah, I finally got it worked out. And what I am using is Lion brand True Boo Sparkle. So I don't know if you can see the sparkle on the camera or not, but it is a very subtle sparkle. Very subtle. It's there, but it's not even very sparkly in real life. And I'm probably going to make it a little bit bigger than the pattern calls for just because I do have a little extra yardage. And I crochet tight. You can see it kind of curling there at the bottom because no matter how hard I tried to loosen it up, it didn't loosen. And y'all, I am using the J hook that the pattern called for the worsted weight yarn on this DK weight yarn, and it's still kind of snug. So, I don't know. I was a tight knitter when I first learned to knit, so maybe it'll take me a few years to get my crochet to loosen up. But yeah, so this is the crochet along for the DFW Fiber Festival. I am doing this in Thunder and Ice, and the third color is called Plum. And it's this color right here. So I think that'll be pretty neat looking. Yeah, so if you're interested in doing any of the make-alongs, DFW Fiber Festival is in the end of September, so you still have plenty of time probably to get one of the projects done. I'll put a link to the DFW Fiber Festival website in the description box down below in case you want to check out either of these two patterns. All right, so that was a lot of talking, but it brings us to the blanket of knowledge. And I have progress on it. Well, sort of. I don't have any progress to show on the crochet version that I'm doing in the campfire color story because I still haven't gotten my May and June patterns yet. I have the yarn, but I haven't gotten the patterns there, which was really silly because I was just in Arkansas and I still did not get the patterns. So I have shot Tracie an email and reminded her I need those patterns. But I did get a lot done on my Fall Fun knit version, and I will show that to you now. So y'all, I had tons of time to work on this because this year I had to take the train to the Arkansas yarn crawl. Normally I would drive our Toyota up to Arkansas and spend the whole week, but this was not a normal year. For one thing, I tore the front end off the Toyota back around Easter. If you've watched my previous videos, you've heard all about that. And so I can't drive it, or at least I'm uncomfortable driving it long distances. It runs, but I'm just worried if a rock got kicked up into my front end, it might hit my radiator and cause problems. And I just don't want to drive the Toyota all the way to Arkansas with no front end. And I couldn't take our larger car because I wasn't bringing any kids with me to Arkansas. So my husband needed the larger car so he could get everybody around back home. So I couldn't take my car, so that was the first thing that was weird. So I decided to take the Amtrak train because it rides up to Malvern, which is not that far from Hot Springs, and Tracie was like, sure, I'll pick you up, no problem. And then the second weird thing was our church decided to do their vacation Bible school a week late this year, which put it the same week as the crawl. Normally I would do VBS at our church and then spend the whole week at the crawl. But because they overlapped, I was only able to go to the crawl for the very first weekend, so just the first Friday and Saturday. So it was different. I didn't, again, because I wasn't driving, I usually drive up and hit Knit Unto Others and Arkansas Yarn Company on Friday on my way up before I get to Hot Springs. And then I usually hit Rich Mountain Fiber Company in Mena on the way home, although most of the time that's the day after the Fiber Festival ends. But I usually still make sure I swing by and say hi to my friend Missy because she's super sweet and very supportive of my channel, and I appreciate her. But this year I did not get to go anywhere except Hot Springs, so I didn't get to see any of the other shops, and that was fine. I enjoyed my time in Hot Springs, but it just made for a different kind of crawl than what I've done the last couple of years, but that's okay. It worked out. But anyway, all of that was to get to how much progress I got done on my knit blanket of knowledge, which is a good deal. All right. So last time I talked to you guys, I was about here. I had almost finished the November strip. And I'm going to have to quit calling the strips by the name of the month because when you're behind and you have all of your yarn, you can get a little more creative. You have a little more creative freedom. And I have decided not to do my yarn in necessarily the order in which it came, or the patterns necessarily in the order in which they were designed. So while August, September, October, and November are the correct pattern in the correct yarn, December is not. What should have been December is the February pattern in the April yarn. And what should have been January is the January pattern, but in the February yarn. So I'm having fun mixing and matching things, which I had a lot of fun doing the very first year of the Blanket of Knowledge. I did a block version and I did a lot of mixing and matching, and it's just fun. It gives you, like I said, a little more creative freedom. So if you're behind, instead of feeling guilty for being behind on your Blanket of Knowledge, think of it as an opportunity to experiment, mix and match, move stuff around. You know, there's no pattern police. Nobody's gonna come up to your house and say, that's not the right order, that's not the right pattern. You get to do whatever you want for your blanket. So embrace it and have fun. But yeah, I am halfway through the 6th strip out of the 12 I intend to put in this blanket. This blanket I've done differently in a few ways. I am making the border simultaneously using entrelac techniques. So I've got my border going. I decided I wanted a brain break in between strips. And so rather than doing bonus stitches, I'm just doing garter stitch in between my strips. So that's a little different. I do the bonus stitch for the videos on my Scarf of Knowledge. I like bonus stitches. I just wanted to do something different this time. This is my 4th knit blanket of knowledge, I believe. So it's time to do some things different. But anyway, I wanted to tell you, so my train, my Amtrak train was supposed to leave Mineola around 5:15 and arrive in Malvern around 10:20. Yeah, it did not leave Mineola until 10 and did not arrive in Malvern until 3 a.m. So I expected it to be late. The Amtrak is notoriously late around here. I expected it to be an hour or 2 hours late, not 5 hours late. On the upside, I knit this whole entire strip in about 3 days because I knit for 5 hours while I waited for the train. Okay, that's an exaggeration. Not quite 5 hours. We knew it was late. When we went ahead and got to Mineola at 5 because I didn't know if I needed to check in. I haven't taken the train except once before and I didn't really remember how it worked. But it turned out I didn't really need to check in. And I spoke to the depot lady, Martha, who told me, you know, probably be back around 7 because at the time, at 5, the train was supposed to be there by 8. It was only delayed 3 hours. So we went and had dinner, my husband and I, and he dropped me back off at 7. And he waited with me for a while, but eventually he had to leave. When we returned at 7, the train that was supposed to have been there at 8 was already pushed back to 9. And like I said, it didn't eventually arrive until 10. So I got most of February done in the depot and on the train ride. I went and knit on the train until about midnight when I finally kind of fell asleep. It was cold. If you ride an Amtrak, y'all, bring a blanket. When I came back from Malvern to Mineola, the train was mostly on time. It was about maybe 15 minutes late. But I brought home my enchanted blanket of knowledge that has been hanging out in the shop, being a shop sample, and I wrapped up in that thing and I was toasty warm because that train is cold. But yeah, that's my experience on the Amtrak. It was a really pleasant ride. I wish it had left at 5 so I would have had 3 hours of daylight to look out and see the scenery. I on purpose booked the 2nd level so that I could see, you know, in the distance and stuff. But c'est la vie. It was quite dark when we left Mineola and I could see nothing except the Longview station, which was very well lit. But yeah, the ride back was nice because the sun came up around 6 a.m. and then I could see some scenery, but I had been up literally all night because I wasn't sure if I should fall asleep or stay awake. I was afraid it was going to be delayed, and if I fell asleep, I might not know. Anyway, I stayed up until we had to leave Hot Springs around 2:30, 3 o'clock. I can't remember what time we left exactly. I stayed up. I didn't sleep. So I got on the train and was awake, and then finally by about 6 a.m. when the sun was coming up and I could see the scenery, I was falling asleep. Go figure. But it was not a bad way. It was an inexpensive mode of transportation. It was comfortable. The seats are big and roomy. They have a good luggage policy. You can bring a lot of luggage. As long as you're riding coach, it's very cheap. If you want a private room, it gets really expensive really fast. But for just what I needed it to do, it was useful. It got me to Hot Springs. I would do it again. I don't know if Tracie would. I don't know if she liked having to pick me up at 3 o'clock in the morning or drop me off at 3 o'clock in the morning. She's a pretty good sport, so. But yeah, there it is. It is growing. It is looking good. I am enjoying it, as always. All right, and let's see. That brings me to acquisitions. And despite my best efforts to not buy a whole lot of yarn, I have bought some yarn. I bought the Karen Layer Cupcakes in the Oasis color, which was the blue gradient, to make my sister's hat. And then of course, I did a little shopping at Hot Springs Fiber Company during the crawl. The first thing I'm going to show you was actually gifted to me by Tracie, and it is for weaving, and it is extremely unique. I have no idea what I'm going to do with it, but I will come up with something. This, go ahead and guess. Guess what kind of yarn you think this might be. Go ahead, think about it in your head, write it down on a stick-it note. I am going to tell you, but see if you can guess. Any guesses? You're never going to guess. This is donkey yarn. It's made from donkey fur. I didn't even know donkeys had a long enough staple to spin yarn, but this is an enormous cone of pretty thin donkey yarn. Here's the yarn. It looks to me like a sport, maybe a fingering weight. I haven't done wraps per inch to double check, but yeah, this was somebody bought it because it was unique and they weren't sure what they were going to do with it, and they gave it to Tracie, and Tracie has given it to me. So donkey yarn. It's kind of scratchy. It's not horrible. It doesn't smell. It just smells like yarn. It's pretty. I like the different grays and browns and stuff. I can't decide if some of this stuff here is like guard hairs or if it's vegetation. I'm not sure. I think it might just be the guard hairs that animals have. But yeah. So if you guys have any ideas on what I should do with donkey yarn, I am open to suggestions. But I have this big old comb. And then of course I did a little shopping. So I have 2 cakes of self-striping yarn. And if I had forethought, I would have brought them with me to show you. But I didn't. And they're buried. And I'm not good. Actually, I think they're at the shop with my loom, in fact. So anyway, I can't show it to you, but I had planned to make 2 scarves out of my self-striping yarn on my loom. And so I wanted to get a solid color to go with the self-striping. So I got this blue to go with the shell-shocked self-striping yarn, and this kind of tan beige to go with the True Love self-striping yarn. I think it's True Love. I always can't remember if it's True Love or Full Bloom, but I think it's True Love. So I need to decide what's going to be the warp and what's going to be the weft. I don't know if I should use this as the warp and then the self-striping as the weft so that it stripes, which was kind of my original thought, or if I want to get really creative and use the self-striping as the warp and the solid as a weft. Or if I want to do one scarf one way and the other way. Oh, I don't know, decisions. So none of this can happen until I get my rug off the loom. So I have some time to think about it. But you can let me know what you think I should do in the comments down below. Oh, look at me. I'm a liar. Look at me, little liar. I do have it. I did put it in the bag so I could show you. So these 2 go together. Let's see. You might see the self-striping a little better this way. And these 2 go together. Yep. Yes, I think that is True Love. All right, so that is what I got in terms of yarn. Then, even though I need a bag, like I need a hole in my head, Tracie has a local person who sews project bags, and she brought in a batch right before the yarn crawl. And Tracie was trying to price them, and I snarked this from her before she could even get the price tag on it. I was like, whatever it costs, it's mine. Isn't that cute? And it's a little granny square drawstring bag, and the inside and the pockets are a little sheath. And the pockets, I think the bag is reversible because if you flip it inside out, it looks the same. The only thing that's really different is that the drawstrings are now on the inside, but I think you could still use it that way. And then the little granny squares are the pockets, and the sheep are the outside. So, I don't know. You could definitely still use it that way if you wanted to. But yeah, I just couldn't resist. I am experimenting with granny squares. right now. So yeah, and it's nice and roomy, and it has, the pockets are on the inside and the outside, which I really like. And yeah, I wish I could remember the name of the seamstress. I'm so sorry I can't. But Hot Springs Fiber Company has several of these and several different styles of bags that she's made. But this is the one that I came home with. And then, of course, I came home with soap. This is also made by a local lady. It smells so good. And look, it's a cute little sun pattern. I almost always buy a bar of the soap. I love soap with the felted casing around it. I still have plans to felt my own soap. I have 4 bars of it, and I have the roving to do it. I just haven't done it. Anybody else do that? Like, I am the worst about planning to do far more things in a day than are realistically possible. I had a friend visiting me this week. She's my dear friend. She doesn't knit, but we love her anyway. She doesn't crochet either. I'm working on it. I'm trying. Yeah. How do you convince someone that doesn't want to try it to give it a try? She might someday when she gets some kids out of their house. She has 6 kids in her house, so she's a little busy. But she was running around with me, and I guess she told my husband, like, how do you keep up with this woman? She's exhausting me. I'm thinking, you have 6 kids. Surely I can't be that bad, but maybe I am. I do know that I have a habit of packing in way more stuff than anybody needs to do in a day. But anyway, I got their self-felted soap since I haven't learned to felt my own. And then the last thing that I bought, because I couldn't resist, were these cute little bow stitch markers that are in my kind of signature colors, that turquoise and salmony orange kind of thing that I clearly have a thing for. I think my logo's in those same kind of colors. So, yep. And then of course, I almost forgot. I got the crawl bag, which is quite different this year. The last 2 years, it's been a black bag with like a map of Arkansas that marked all the shops that were in the crawl. This year, it's got the sheep for the Find Our Flock program. And this year they did something fun, which, I wish I could have done a little more. But you could, the bags are free, but you could buy this little pin for $5, and it came with a stitch marker with a sheep on it. And I think the idea was you could go and get a sheep stitch marker at all of the shops that were in the crawl. But most of the shops were out of that stitch marker by the second day. So next year, Arkansas Yarn Crawl, you guys need to buy like triple the number of sheep stitch markers so that if you did have someone who managed to make it to all of the shops in the crawl, they could collect all the stitch markers. And I also got a Hot Springs Fiber logo stitch marker, which I did not have before, so that was cool. And a cute little pin. So yay! That was my crawl haul. I think I got a bag last year too, and it's one of my favorite bags. I got it from the store in Beeville. Let's tuck my stuff back up in here. I'm excited to start this project, so I really need to get my my yarn I-corded up so I can finish weaving. Honestly, it takes me way longer to warp my loom and then I-cord my yarn than it does to actually weave. I finished that first hank of yarn and wove it, and it took me like an hour, maybe, if that, to get it woven, and then I had to stop and like I-cord up more yarn. That's okay though. Other acquisitions, let's see. I also bought the True Blue Sparkle, the plum color that I showed you, for my Bronwyn crochet shawl. That is the crochet along shawl for DFW Fiber Festival. And this is the yarn that I ordered because I wasn't thinking. So the original colors I had picked out were like undyed cream yarn, this yarn, and then I had another hank of the Fall Fun yarn in DK weight that I haven't used. I was supposed to, or planning to, felt slippers with it, but I just never got around to it. And I was thinking I would use those in the shawl. And then I realized that I didn't have enough yardage of any of it because the DK weight yarn, let's see, these were 50-gram balls. Let's see if I can find the yardage on here. It's in here, it's just kind of, I had them wind it up for me so I wouldn't have to because I was thinking I wanted to start it right away. But, yeah, didn't work. It's approximately 130, so it's 260 yards between these two balls. And my other DK weight yarns were similar, 230, 260. And I need 325 yards of each color. So there was no way that first plan was gonna work. I wish I had thought that through a little better before I ordered this, but you know, hey, it's gonna go in my stash. Maybe someday I will use it. I'm sure I will someday. Or maybe not. If I mean, I probably have more yarn than I can realistically knit and crochet in my lifetime. But yeah, anyway, we'll just put it in our stash. It'll all be good. All right, so that is all that I acquired for me. But of course, I have some plans of things to share with you guys, and it is a time for sharing. So last month's shareable that I showed on the channel, I have a winner for. So I am giving away 2 hanks of Cascade Yarns alpaca lace, and I do not think this color has a name. It just says 1427. So I have 2 hanks of it. It is very lovely, soft, and there's only 50 grams in each hank, but there's over 400 yards of this. So it's too bad my sister didn't want a turquoise veil. I could have done it in that probably. And then I'm also giving away this Casio collar kit that I put together. It's not the original Laura Nelkin kit from her website, but it is in the kits can, that because I had bought several kits years ago and I only needed 1 pattern. So I have a pattern code for you, and I have put together the beads and the circle emblem that you need to complete it, and I have a beading threading tool for you guys. So that is, you wouldn't need very much of this yarn, nowhere near all of it, maybe 10 grams of this yarn to make this pattern if you should choose to. Again, there's no pattern police, so if you get this, if you won this prize and you decide you don't want to make the Casio collar, that's okay. I'll put a picture in of the Casio collar so you can see what it looks like. But we are going to draw our winner now. All right, so congratulations, Sherry Anderson 2524. You are our lucky duck, and I will be getting this shareable out to you as soon as you send me your contact information in the channel email, which is in the description box down below. Congratulations. Excuse me, technical difficulty. All right, I've been talking for a while, y'all. Sorry about that. So that is last month's prize. And of course I have a shareable for this month because I want to share with you guys. And I have a fun story about this month's shareable. So while I was in Hot Springs Fiber Company, I was hanging out with some of the other ladies that were working on different projects. And one of my viewers, Deb Waterman, was working on a new shirt. She was working on knitting a shirt. And she had this beautiful yarn she was using. She had bought, she said years ago, she had bought 2 colorways of it, and she was going to make a baby blanket, I think she said, out of some of it, and then she was going to make this shirt out, or this top, out of the rest of it. And she got so far, and she went to pull out the second ball of yarn and realized that instead of starting with the colorway that she had the most of, she had started with the colorway that she had already used some of. And she was kind of upset. She was trying to decide if she should frog it or if she should try to blend the 2 colorways in together or what she should do. And I said, I bet you could just find that same colorway. Like, it's a Lion brand yarn. It's a pretty easy to find yarn. And so I just looked it up on Amazon and it was there and it wasn't terribly expensive. So I sent her the link. And she was like, oh, I'm so grateful. And so she was so sweet that she gave me the colorway that she did not want to use for her top, the additional colorway that wasn't the one she had started with. And I decided I would share it with you guys. And it is quite lovely. This is Lion Brand Landscape Breeze, and the colorway is called Willow. And it is these beautiful blues and pinks and purples and turquoises. And I have not one, but 4 hanks of it to give away. So that was donated by my friend Deb Waterman. She is a faithful viewer of the channel, and I appreciate her greatly. So thank you, Deb. Then I have a couple of other things to give away. I have had these little needle point protectors for a while, and I thought they just went with this yarn so well. They're little cow heads, and they're turquoise. So I'm going to include these. And then I have a copy of the Marriage Pact. So if you've been doing the Read and Crochet along, this is the book that we are going to be discussing in our next part, which is coming out soon. So I'm going to be giving this away. It's a great book by my good friend Kathleen Fuller, and I know you're going to love it. This is a brand new copy of her book. And then one more thing I'm going to give away is this super cute inspirational bag with a quote. It says, "The joy of the Lord is my strength." And again, it is purple and turquoise, so it matches the yarn. So I have all of this to give away to one lucky duck. So if you would like to be the lucky duck that wins this shareable, then give me a comment below. I've given you several things. You can let me know what you think I should do on my self-striping scarves, what I should use for the warp versus what I should use for the weft. You can let me know what you think about the DFW Fiber Festival make-alongs. You know, I just noticed both of the previous make-alongs that I did have tassels. I don't think the Bronwyn shawl actually calls for tassels, but I'm suddenly thinking maybe it needs tassels so it matches the other two. You could tell me what you think about that. Or tell me something you've done that was fun, or if you were at the crawl, tell me something you enjoyed about the crawl in Arkansas, or whatever you want to comment. Any comment that you put down below will get you entered in for a chance to win the shareable from this month. Alrighty, y'all, that is a lot. I have been so crazy busy in July. I spent the first 2 weeks of July doing all of my lesson plans for next year so that I could get that done and out of the way. I have a brand new 7th grader. My youngest kid is going to be starting junior high. I have a brand new 9th grader. My second youngest kid is starting high school. I have a 10th grader and a senior. So this year is going to be way busy, way crazy, but I'm very excited. I'm very proud of all of my boys. They've worked very hard, and I'm excited to kind of get my first kid, maybe not completely out of the house, but you know, getting some independence and growing up. We have been doing driver's ed all summer long. I was hoping to finish it, but it's not finished, but it's coming along. It's coming along. Both of my boys are up to a level where they're driving around town on some of the slower roads. My son, who works at a youth camp and has karate, he's been driving to and from work and karate all summer. My other son has done that a few times as well. They're able to drive to and from church. So some of the places that we go around town that aren't along the highways and stuff, they've been doing pretty good. So that'll be keep it on. School for us is going to start kind of early this year. It's going to start on August 4th, which is Monday, because my mom, who has decided she is the self-appointed president of the Brohard Christian Boys Academy Booster Club, has decided to take a school trip in the fall, kind of maybe Asher's senior trip kind of idea, to the Ark Encounter in Kentucky. So our family is going to be going to do that. I am so excited to do that. Right now the plan is for the 6 of us, my mother and her husband and my grandparents, to all go and do that in October. But because of that, I needed to scoot up the start of school a week because I have to finish on time since I have a senior who's going to walk in graduation. So our homeschool group that we are part of, it's called Tracie, the Tyler Area Christian Homeschool Educators Group. They put on a graduation. We put on a graduation, I should say, because as a parent of a graduating senior, I have to be a big part of that. So that's going to be very busy this year, but very exciting. Let's see, the part 2 of the Read and Crochet Along should be coming out August 15th. So I'm excited about that. I have done all 6 of the squares. I showed them to you last month. I'll show them to you on August 15th. I didn't dig them out to show you today. But I've read 4.5 of the 6 books. No, 5.5. No, 4.5. 4.5 of the 6 books that were assigned I've read. So I'm a little bit more than halfway through an Amish quilt. And the last one that I have to read is The Marriage Pact, which I just showed you the book there. I've actually already read it, but I wanted to read it again closer to when we film the episode, the part 2, so that it's fresh in my mind. I don't know if I'm actually going to make that goal, since I have to finish this before the library needs it back. That's a library book. I don't own that one. But we'll see. Today's the 1st, so I have a couple of days to read it before we film. We film a little bit sooner than we post because I have to have time to edit it. Part 2 is not going to be available on my channel. You are going to have to go to Kathleen Fuller's YouTube channel and check out part 2. But I will put the information for that in the description box down below. If you haven't joined in on the Read and Crochet Along, you're not too late. There are very few rules with this Crochet Along. It's very much a choose your own adventure. You pop in whenever you want. It is a super relaxed pace. You have 2 months in which to do whatever you choose to do in the Read and Crochet Along. If you want to read all the books, or just the book that we're going to discuss, or none of the books. If you want to crochet all the granny squares, or just whichever ones are your favorite, or none of them, that's all fine. Whatever you choose to participate in, there will be 2 months in which to do it, which is more than enough time. So if you missed the first part and you want to go back and do the first 6 books or the first 6 granny squares, you should have plenty of time to get that done. Work at your own pace. If you are behind or ahead or whatever, it's all good. I'm excited to bring part 2 to you guys with Kathleen Fuller, like I said, on August 15th. So I am talking about what's Loomin. I don't know if I introduced this segment or not. If I didn't, this is the what's Loomin, meaning what's coming up kind of segment of my YouTube video. And let's see, I obviously did not do any of the projects I had planned last month that I said I would do. I did not make any additional butterfly bookmarks, although I still do want to do that. And I have not finished the rug, although I did start the rug at least. And I don't remember what else I said I was going to do. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I didn't do any of the things I said I was going to do. We'll see next month if I do any of the things I said I was going to do this month. I did go to the yarn crawl. I said I was going to do that, and I did do that. I'm going to focus on the wedding veil, getting the blankets of knowledge caught up. I do plan to start another blanket of knowledge, just not until January. Every other year I've started, I've done 12 months, starting in August, which is when the very first one started, and then just keep it on. But I really want to I'm very, very far behind for me on these. So I kind of want to finish the 2 I've got going, or at least get them much closer to being finished before I start the next one. But I do plan to start a new one in January. We'll see how that goes. What else? Oh man, and I don't know if you can count this as, I didn't really count it as a WIP because I haven't put anything on a needle yet, but while my mom was visiting me, she was knitting the Quintet Quintet Shawlette by Amba O'Brien, and she had bought that when we were at Yellow Rose Fiber Festival last year, I think. And I have a kit that I bought from an Arkansas yarn crawl, possibly the first one I did. I bought it at Knit Unto Others. And so she had pulled hers out and was doing it, and I got serious project envy. So of course I pulled mine out and I wound the yarn and then started the brown one shawl instead. So I kind of intended to start it and then didn't. It is wound. It is in a project bag. The yarn for that is kind of neat. It's in this bag, which I also think I got in an Arkansas yarn crawl. I think I got this bag the first Arkansas yarn crawl. But it was this really neat kit. It was called I don't know how you say this, Koigu, Koigu maybe? But it's a painter's palette, and so it had 5 hanks, like 520 gram mini hanks in different colors. And everybody was laughing at me because I went to wind this yarn and I could not get the lid off this can. And so finally someone handed me a key. And after I got everything out and started working it, I realized that's what this is for. It's so you can open the can. So anyway, I thought it was super cute, little can. I may keep it. I thought I have lots of mini hanks. And I thought it might be a fun giveaway or shareable to maybe find 5 mini hanks and wrap them up in this and share them with you guys later. So I might do that. If you want to see the yarn colors, they're green, this lovely copper. This is one of the best, most coppery looking colors I've seen. I don't know what the colors are officially called, but kind of a creamy white. This is a gorgeous red, and I did have a little trouble with the yarn winder on that one. It's a little messy. And then a pretty yellow, like a butter yellow. So I do plan to make the quintet shawl. I cannot decide what order I want to put those colors. I think I have a picture of the order they were in the can, which is one option, but my favorite colors are this one and this one. So I kind of wanted one of these to be the center back of it, but then that leaves, I don't know, like how to, I really feel like the green might be a better center because it's a more medium color, and then I have 2 lights and 2 darks. Anyway, I don't know. I haven't decided. I haven't started it, so oh well. So if you want to count that as a whip, I have that. It's not really a whip. I haven't started it, but I'm hoping to start it soon. That is a plan that I have. But you know, the good Lord has ways of changing our plans. So who knows what I'll actually wind up doing. You'll have to come back next week on, not next week. I will not have another video up for you next week. Next month on September 1st and find out if I did anything that I planned or not. If you have been hanging out with me this long, thank you so much. I really appreciate all of you. I enjoy knitting and crocheting and weaving and sharing it with you guys. So I hope you guys are enjoying your own arts and crafts, knitting, crocheting, weaving. Maybe some of you do cross stitch. I did that when I was younger. Or whatever fun stuff you guys do. Quilting. I don't like quilting. I love quilts. Love quilts. Not a big fan of actually quilting them. I tried that. But anyway, I hope you guys are making things beautiful. There's so many sad things and ugly things and things wrong with this world that it's just a gracious gift from God that we are able to be creative and spend any amount of time at all doing anything that makes anything more beautiful. So I'm going to close this in prayer. And like I said, I'll see you guys back next month. And don't forget to check out Kathleen Fuller's YouTube channel. By August 15th, we should have part 2 of the Read and Crochet Along up for you. Gracious Lord Jesus and Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the many ways in which you have blessed our family. I have enjoyed the summer break that we've had. I ask that you bless the upcoming school year, not only for me and my own children in our own homeschool, but for all the children going back to school across the nation. For the public schoolers as well as the homeschoolers, Lord, I pray that you will put a hedge of protection around our schools, that you will have your people be a light for you in the schools that they're in, that the children will grow and learn just as Jesus grew and learned in wisdom and in stature, the Bible tells us, with favor in God and man. And I ask these things in your Son's most precious name.